Before we proceed further, there is a small revision of the working that we did yesterday. We understood that say derivative are basically certain transactions that will help you to reduce risk that you have in any of the transaction. It is basically used for the purpose of hedging, and at the same time, so the derivative is useful also for the purpose of speculation, in a way that say you can speculate about your expectation about say certain price changes, and with that you will be able to make some amount of the gain. Derivative is basically useful for number of transactions to which a company is exposed to. A company is having say the risk inherent in those transactions. So we will be able to use the derivative transactions for the purpose of hedging. That was the kind of concern that say we studied in the previous lecture. Now we are proceeding further. In today's session, we are going to have the coverage of certain points like this. That first thing that we are going to cover is like the futures contract. Second thing that we are going to cover is the pricing of the forward futures. That is the what I am expecting to complete in the session that we are going to conduct today. So these are the learning points that we have. I believe that everybody is clear with the working that we did so far. Anybody having doubt or query can ask me. So let us start with question number 2A. On 1st of March at 11 o'clock, price of Reliance Petroleum Limited security is rupees 600. Mr. X is expecting price of the security will decrease. So he is selling security at the rate of 600 in spot market without holding it. Highlight the portion without holding it. At 2 o'clock, as per his expectation, that is as per expectation of Mr. X, price of the security decreases to rupees 580. So from 600 it reduces to 580. At that time he is purchasing the security. You are required to calculate. The first question is calculate the profit or loss Mr. X is able to make from above transactions. That is the first question. I want somebody of you to tell me answer. So friends, over here the answer is very simple, that say you end up with the profit of 20 rupees. So we understand like this. Let us answer the question along with me. Answer of question number 2A. In that, calculation of profit or loss. In that, sale price is an amount of rupees 600. Less purchase price, that is 580, and difference between both of them is a profit, and profit is 20 rupees. That is what we understand. Right an answer? So the answer is over. Now a very good question asked by a student over here, and I am giving reply to that along with my explanation. Dear students, the question is providing the information like this. At 11 o'clock, the price of the security is 600. Over here, the investor was not holding the security. Yet, he has entered into the transaction to sell security. At 2 o'clock, as per his expectation, the price of the security fall down because he was expecting maybe certain news to come in the market, and with that the price of the security will fall down. And as per his expectation, the price of the security is actually falling down. So at that point of time, he enters into the transaction to purchase the security. The difference between the sale price and the purchase price is considered to be the profit or loss. So there is a profit of 20 rupees. Why? Because the sale price is exceeding the purchase price. Basically, in a technical language, so this is given a name as intraday transaction. In case of intraday transaction, whatever the two transactions which are of course opposite in the nature, in which you enter upon, is like the difference between both of them, say, is the profit or loss that you have. It may happen that, say, initially you enter into the transaction to buy, and later on when the price of the security increases, because you are expecting it to go up, later on the price of the security increases, so at that point of time you sell. In short, the difference of the sale price and the purchase price will be your profit or loss. You might have sold it before and you might have purchased it before. Importantly, remember that at 11 o'clock, in spite of the fact that say you are not holding the security, you can enter into the transaction for sale security. That is what say we understand is a kind of transaction in which you can enter upon. And so that is what say the answer of the second question. Explain short position on cash market. This is a technical word. In a simple language we understand that say this is the time period which is considered to be the short position in the cash market. What does the term short position in the cash market mean? It means that say you are not holding the security, and in spite of that, so you enter into the transaction for short position, and that is given a technical name as the short position on the cash market. Why do we enter into the short position? We enter into the short position because we are expecting the price of the security to fall down, and this is permissible in the market. Let us answer the second question. I just read the second question. Second question says that explain short position on cash market. Short position on cash market means a transaction is entered upon to sell security in the market, comma, without holding it. Full stop. Over here, Mr. X is entering into short position on cash market at 11 o'clock. Full stop. In short, we can say that the short means that you enter into the transaction for sale. Third question. Explain long position on cash market. Let us have understanding that what is the long position on cash market. Dear students, you know that my income is very less, but even though like with the grace of God, say whatever the some savings that I have, with that say suppose I purchase 3 equity shares of Reliance Petroleum Limited security. So if at all I do this transaction, then it is considered that say I have long position on cash market. What is the long position in cash market? It means that say I'm holding a security. That is considered to be the long position on cash market. You are having shares, you are having certain investments, that is considered to be the long position on cash market. That is over here we understand that say I have long position on cash market means I am holding shares. So whatever the investment that say you have made, so that is considered to be the long position. Further we understand that say it is also considered like this, that say first of all you created a short position, means you have entered into the transaction for sale. Technically it is said that say later on you enter into the long position in order to cover up the short position, means you have sold it to somebody. Now how can you give share to him? By purchasing the security later on. It means that say you have covered up your short position by taking long position in the market later on. That is the way we understand the technical language. Let us answer the third question. Long position in cash market means an investor slash trader holding certain investments. Full stop. With paragraph write down, we can also understand that in order to cover up short position in cash market, comma, long position is entered upon. Full stop. Fourth question. In which situation a trader takes long position slash short position in cash market? So answer of the fourth question is very simple. We understand that say as far as a long position is concerned and short position is concerned, in cash market a trader will enter into the long position when he is expecting price of security to increase. When he is expecting the price of the security to increase, he will take long position, and when he is expecting the price of the security to fall down, he will enter into the short position. So when I am expecting the price to go up, I should buy the security today, so that say later on when the price actually increases, I will be able to make gain by selling the security at a higher value. And when I am expecting the price of the security to fall down, then in that case I should enter into the transaction for sale today. So later on when the price reduces, I will be able to make profit by purchasing the security later on. That is what we understand. Right on answer? A trader slash investor will take long position, comma, if he is expecting price of security to increase. Full stop. He will purchase security today, in bracket I am writing, taking long position in cash market, and then when price increases, he will sell security. Full stop. A trader or investor will take short position in cash market, comma, when he is expecting price of security to fall down. Full stop. Right now, security will be sold, comma, and later on when price reduces, comma, security will be purchased. Full stop. Yeah. There was one query which I would like to address right now. That's sir, what is the time period for which I can keep the short position? That is a kind of query that say like a student very rightly raised. Now I am giving explanation of that. See, basically this question is over. Now I am giving explanation of that question. Everybody is requested to pay attention. Now we understand something like this. Listen carefully all of you, because this is going to be something which is important, in that is as per my understanding. At 11 o'clock the price of the security is 600. At that time the trader is entering into the transaction for sale security. Why? Because he is expecting the price of the security to fall down. However, what happens at say gradually the price of the security is going up instead of going down. Investor is very sure that once that news will come in the market, the price will definitely fall down. However, by the end of the market, listen carefully, by end of the market, the price of the security has increased to rupees 700 instead of falling down. So now what the trader can do, let us understand that. Yes. Now, what happens that say the trader has certain options like this. The first thing that what the trader can do, the trader can buy security at the rate of 700 at the end of market, comma, to cover up short position in cash market. Full stop. In that case, you don't have to write. In that case, he will have a loss of rupees 100. How 100 is calculated? It is 600 minus 700. The second thing that the trader can do, something which is what we have to learn properly, in which the trader can enter into the transaction of borrowing of stock. A trader can enter into the transaction for borrowing of the stock. That is the transaction in which the trader can enter upon. In that case, what will happen? Let us understand. What Mr. X will do? Mr. X will borrow security, comma, to cover up short position in cash market. Let us understand like this, that at 11 o'clock Mr. X had sold security to Mr. P. What is the price at which the security has been sold? It has been sold at the rate of rupees 600. That is the price at which the security has been sold. Okay. To whom? To Mr. P. Now Mr. P will make payment of rupees 600 to Mr. X. So now Mr. X has a responsibility of giving delivery of the security to Mr. P. For that, what he can do? He can enter into the transaction for borrowing of the stock. In case of the borrowing of the stock, what he will do? Let us assume that Mr. X borrows security from Mr. A. Why he is borrowing security? In order to cover up short position in the cash market. Okay. Why? Because he is very confident that once that news will come in the market, the price of the security will definitely fall down. Let us assume that, say, the borrowing of the stock is made for a time period of 7 days. Day 1, day 2, day 3. Let us say that at the end of the third day, price of the security is falling down to rupees 550. Now what Mr. X is doing, friends? Mr. X is entering into the transaction for purchasing security at the rate of 550, and it is refunded to Mr. A. So what Mr. X will do, at the end of the third day, the price of the security is falling down to rupees 550. So Mr. X will purchase the security from spot market at the rate of 550 for the purpose of refunding. In this situation, profit or loss to Mr. X will be 600 is the initial sale price, 550 is the purchase price. So 50 rupees minus borrowing charges which is required to be paid. Because we understand that, say, Mr. A has, say, lent stock to Mr. X. So in that case, Mr. A is required to be compensated with say certain charges, and that is what we understand is the borrowing charges. So borrowing charges will be deducted, and then say we will be having say the final profit. This is the way say we understand that say the transaction will take place. Suppose instead of this, what happens at say day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7. At the end of the 7th day, the price of the security has further gone up. It has increased to, let us say, rupees 850 instead of falling down, because unfortunately whatever the information what Mr. X was having was false information. So now he is expecting the price of the security to further go up. So now what he is doing, he is required to purchase the security at 850 in order to refund it to Mr. A. 600 is the sale price minus 850 is the purchase price. Minus borrowing charges, because borrowing charges are required to be paid unconditionally. So what will happen? So the total, there will be a loss of 250 and the borrowing charges. That is what say the two scenarios that say we have. And this is what say one more method of covering the short position on the cash market, that is borrowing of the stock. And this is a legal process, and this process is entered upon say through stock exchange only. Mr. X is not required to go in the market to search somebody. This kind of transaction is say entered upon through stock exchange only. In the stock exchange, there are certain traders who have registered themselves that we are ready to lend stock. Suppose somebody has thought that say I will make investment in TCS for next 5 years. For next 5 years I am definitely going to make investment in TCS. Whether the price of the security is going up or going down, I am going to have the stock in my hand only. So what I can do, say I can enter into a transaction like this. I can register myself that I am ready to lend stock. So what will happen? I will be able to get advantage of some amount that I will be able to receive on my investment. Because whatever the borrowing charges that say Mr. X is paying to me is an income to me. So this is the way I will be able to make some amount of the gain on my stock. That is the first thing. Second thing that we understand is that over here the Mr. A, or like the traders, Mr. X, that is the traders like Mr. X will be able to say cover up the short position in the cash market. Even in a situation where market is likely to fall down, you will be able to make profit based on your anticipation. This is the way we have the market mechanism. Now see, basically the answer is over, but yet I want to dictate the concept of the borrowing of the stock over here. Write on heading borrowing of stock. In that, write down first point. A trader having short position in cash market, comma, may not have squared off his position by end of the day. Full stop. Second point, in that case, trader may borrow security comma to cover up short position in cash market. Full stop. Third point, for borrowing of stock an amount of charges is required to be paid to lender of the security. Full stop. At the same time, lender is required to be compensated for any benefit foregone during the time period of lending. Fourth point, during the time period of borrowing, comma, price of security falls below initial sale price in bracket write down rupees 600 in this example, comma, trader will make a profit subject to transaction cost and borrowing charges and vice versa. Full stop.